Hi everyone. I know it's been a long time, but I'm back. Been working on 2 videos of the series The Genius Of, and I just want to make this video here since we're almost in the middle, I think in the middle of the year. So I just want to give you a couple updates and do a shout out to some of the albums that I'm really enjoying in 2025 so far. So without further ado, let's go to the best albums of 2025. In my opinion, the Rock Live so far. Right, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show a couple albums over here, and all those albums that you can see here, there are some albums that I enjoy this year, but I'm not gonna go with too much depth on it. They're just being, a 6.5, 7.5 out of 10 albums, so I'm not gonna go too much deep on it, but there's a lot of good stuff, some metal, some hard rock, some indie stuff. Just keep an eye on here and pause the video if you have to look very into it. After this, let's talk about some of the albums that I've been enjoying, and then they have potential to go to my end of the year list, which is, by the way, that was the first video I ever made to this channel, was end of the year list from last year, and it's been almost 6 months. So wow, time goes fast. Time passed by so fast. Let's go. The first one I want to talk about, it's Mount Joy. Hope you have fun. Mount Joy is a 5-piece from Philly. They started in Philly. Yeah, this is the 4th full-length album. They're a new band. They started in 2017, if I'm not wrong, and they just blow up as a big band the last couple of years, especially during the COVID time. And hope you have fun. They sort of do a mix of folk, indie, pop rock. There's a couple of easy listening. They mix a couple of jam moments as well, but I really like the vibe. It's not my favorite Mount Joy album. I still like the first one the best, but it's a mix with where the band sort of got my attention at the start and where they're going towards, with new songs and new sounds. But Hope You Have Fun is a great addition to the Mount Joy catalog, which is a band that I really like it. I really enjoy. I saw them when they were a very, very small band, and I ended up watching them last year at a sold-out day at Madison Square Garden. So it's always very interesting to see a band making it. Another album that I want to talk about it is The Way by Dorothy. I made a video, The Genius of Dorothy, and I talked very briefly about the album. When I was editing and recording that video, the album The Way just got released in the middle of the process, so I didn't have much time to go through it. But I think The Way, it is one of the strongest Dorothy albums. She's one of my favorite artists. The hard rock, heavy metal, there's a big modern approach to their sound, especially on the new album, and she is just transforming the way to approach life and music, and this album, it reflects a lot about that. So that's another one that I've been enjoying a lot. Okay, so changing a little bit of the vibe here, I'm gonna talk about the debut album from a death metal band called Asian Death, called Ego. The Solution is just straight death metal. So they're from here, and I strongly believe this is the first album official release. They have a touch of progressive death metal, but it's more a straightforward old school death metal sound. So a band to keep an eye on it because they're new. Give a shout out to Venator Psychodrome, which is the second album of the band. Old school heavy metal. Nothing really to add on. I think they are from Canada, and just very solid album. Very solid album. Enjoyable. Fun to listen to. Another one on the list is debut album, self-titled, from a band called Bleed. They are very interesting because they do a mix of, when I listened to the first time, it's a mix of new metal with shoegaze. There's a couple electronic pieces that reminds me of Linkin Park. There's a heavy parts remind me of Slipknot, and there's a lot of, it's very Deftones driven as well. But the whole album, it has, of course, it has their inspirations, but it sounds new and fresh. It's not a 10 out of 10 album. There is still, I think, the need of stronger and more solid tracks in between. They lack a little bit about that, but it's definitely a strong debut, and has some sort of nostalgia as well. Let me throw you the third album from the band Mama. Welcome to My Blue Sky. Easy listening, alternative, indie, dream pop album. Very solid band that a lot of people don't know about it. The album before was already really solid, and that this one is as good as the previous album. Amazing band to keep an eye on it. So Inglorious released the album called 5. For being the 5th album of the band, I didn't think they would put a lot of different elements to it, and I don't think I'll enjoy as much. So I went to listen to this album with zero expectations, and I haven't listened to Inglorious in a long time. They are definitely one of the best hard rock outfits out there, from England. The vocalist is amazing, one of the best modern vocalists, and when I listen to it, it remind me why I used to listen to this band so much. Solid, hard, heavy rock, amazing catchy moments. The riffs are great, the vocals are amazing, it's very well produced. So I'm glad Inglorious is still making fun hard rock music, and this album is another example of it. Give a big shout out to the band the Finland band called I think it's Havokruunu, or maybe something like that, with the album Tavasland. It's melodic black metal. I truly enjoyed this band from the start. That's the third album, if I'm not wrong, and I was excited because I haven't got a lot of news or updates about the band, so I didn't know they're still around, and they are, obviously. And this album is it's more accessible in a couple of ways, but still atmospheric and dark, heavy, obviously, but really intense in some parts, and I love. It's probably the best album they have in the catalog so far. Couple shout outs here, very quick, to obviously to Tsunami Sea from Spirit Box, one of the best bands, the modern metal. They did another amazing album, following up with the Eternal Blue. Sleep Token, I understand all the hype about it. Sometimes it's too much. I understand why people are not very fond about Sleep Token, but even in Arcadia, it's such a unique and different album. There's like jazz, moments of slow parts, and the whole album it's a long album with so many different elements that every time I listen to it, there is always something new that brings my attention. And they are a famous band for a reason, and I sometimes I don't understand the hate. It's similar what happens with Bad Omens and Turnstile, which, talking about Turnstile, never enough. They did it again. Great, amazing album following up from Glow On. And the last couple albums on the list, I want to give a shout out to Volbeat, God of Angels Trust, which is never really got my attention, Volbeat. I think the vocals are always something that turn me off a little bit. But man, the riffs on God of Angels Trust are so tight and amazing. It's very good, very good. I was not expecting, and I sort of listened to this album just because people are talking so good about it, but I never listened to the other one, so I don't know why exactly I put some time aside to do it, but I'm glad I did. I'm definitely gonna go back a little bit on the discography to see if I miss anything important, or there I really like it. But God of Angels Trust, probably the best Volbeat album so far. Quick shout out to Anxious releasing Bambi, which is emo core, Midwest emo. Anxious is such a cool band and good vibes band to listen to it. Another one of those bands that people don't really talk about it, but shout out to Anxious, always doing an amazing job. Another album sort of in the emo core, post-hardcore helm, it's Arm's Length. There's a Whole World Out There, debut album from this amazing band there. I just found out about it, being listened to a lot on loop. Very catchy tunes and catchy moments. It's sort of in between easy listening to some like more heavy, more impressive moments, if that makes sense. Shout out to Aspiro from the band Epica. Don't have to talk much about Epica, which is a very solid and already very settled, melodic, symphonic metal band. Aspiro is another great album from the band. You really can't go wrong with Epica. Let's finish with two bands here, two shout outs from. First one is We Are All Angels by Scout, a band that sort of was more hardcore on the first album, and then this one it's more like a post-hardcore melodic, sort of like pop punk sometimes, but really solid. They change a little bit the approach maybe, and this still made another amazing album. The first album they released 3 years ago, it's also outstanding, and this one is another one for the catalog. Great stuff. And the last one is the Scottish boys Bleed From Within. The album is called Zenith. And man, I just love Bleed From Within so much. The first 3 albums they released in the 2010s, it's just so good. In 2020 they released one of my favorite albums ever, which is Fracture. The album before that, there's more symphonic and melodic approach in Zenith, and they sort of tried to do that in the album prior to it, in between Fracture and Zenith, and that was not my favorite. It was probably the weakest. They trying to sort of like changing the sound within the sound of the band. I think Zenith is they did it so well. It's very similar in a sense of the sound of the band. You can't really go wrong. It's those deathcore, hardcore, progressive metal, everything sort of blending with the band. But Zenith, I think they did it. They did it well. And they changed. You can see some differences from the first albums and the start of the band. So I am between maybe Never Enough and Zenith as my favorite so far of the year. But my opinion can change in a couple of months. Well, this was my favorite albums of 2025 so far. Keep an eye on the channel. A lot of things coming up very soon. I'm working on different videos as I speak, sending this update so you guys can hear from me, and also check out new music if you haven't yet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share this video with someone, and let me know in the comments what is your favorite album so far in 2025. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.